Welcome back to the Inner Game podcast, where we explore the depths of money, investing, life, and philosophy. I'm your host, Vishal Khandelwal, and today I continue from where I left the previous episode. I had talked about the idea of illusion of control, which is our tendency to overestimate our influence over events, particularly those that are governed by chance. I also shared how the illusion of control not only shapes our financial decisions, but also weaves through the very fabric of our daily lives. In today's episode, I again talk about the illusion of control, but now focused only on how it impacts us in the stock market investing decisions. I will also suggest you ways to get over this illusion and leave you with a business analysis checklist that may help you deal with it better. So let's get into this episode right away. You see, like I said in the previous episode, illusion of control is seen in stock investing when investors who do a lot of hard work before picking up stocks, they start to believe that their detailed analysis and knowledge gives them control over the future of the stocks that they own. On the other hand, there are many who do not start investing at all, or they outsource the task to a broker or a trusted friend just because they see stock analysis as an enormous task. A very common complaint I hear from people is that there are so many stocks and so less time to deeply understand businesses. And so I'm fine investing or speculating based on tips I get on business channels, on newspapers, or from my broker. Now, I certainly understand that for a new or an inexperienced investor, just the thought of analyzing companies may look like a big task, but it does not need to be so. At least if you wish to learn how to analyze businesses instead of depending on others for your stock picks. I've received a lot of emails over the past few years from readers who've asked questions like how much business understanding is enough for making an investment decision? Or can I invest in a stock without a perfect understanding of its business? Well, this is something even I wondered during the very early part of my investing career. A question like, do I need to have a perfect understanding of a business before considering buying its stock? But based on my experience and that of other successful investors around me over the years who have bought stocks both with perfect knowledge and also with imperfect knowledge, I think the answer is no. You do not need to have a perfect understanding of a business before considering buying its stock. The reality is that no matter how hard you try to analyze the intricacies of a business, you may not be as important to the results as you would think you are. I see a lot of investors spend too much time exposing themselves to all the information noise that is distributed over the internet. They are in the hope of boosting confidence enough to be comfortable with their investment decisions. So they will scan stock forums, they will watch detailed analysis of companies on YouTube or read on Twitter and WhatsApp forums, and it never ends. But it's important to understand, as a wise person said, that over the long run, you will probably do better building a portfolio of companies that make you uncomfortable. That is, those you have bought with imperfect knowledge, than building a portfolio of companies that make you comfortable. That is, those you have bought with perfect knowledge. Your investment process should be focused simply on understanding and valuing businesses and becoming better at it over time. Trying to increase your confidence by gathering information that is supposedly unknown to most others, it really only makes you more comfortable with your investment decisions, not better at them. And it is generally an unproductive use of your limited time. The legendary investor Seth Klarman wrote something very insightful in his book Margin of Safety. It's a slightly long passage, so please bear with me as I read it out. So Klarman wrote, and I quote, some investors insist on trying to obtain perfect knowledge about their impending investments, researching companies until they think they know everything there is to know about them. They study the industry and the competition. They contact former employees, industry consultants, and analysts and become personally acquainted with the top management. They analyze financial statements for the past decade and stock price trends for even longer. This diligence is admirable, but it has two shortcomings. First, no matter how much research is performed, some information always remains elusive. Investors have to learn to live with less than complete information. And second, even if an investor could know all the facts about an investment, he or she would not necessarily profit. This is not to say that fundamental analysis is not useful. It certainly is, but information generally follows the well known 80-20 rule, which means the first 80% of the available information is gathered in the first 20% of the time spent. Moreover, business information is highly perishable. Economic conditions change, industries are transformed, and business results are volatile. The effort to acquire current, let alone complete information, is never ending. Meanwhile, other market participants are also gathering and updating information, thereby diminishing any investor's informational advantage. Klarman continues when he writes, investors frequently benefit from making investment decisions with less than perfect knowledge and are well rewarded for bearing the risk of uncertainty. The time other investors spend delving into the last unanswered detail may cause them the chance to buy in at prices so low that they offer a margin of safety despite the incomplete information. Quotes closed. In short, even as the experts are busy focusing on such areas as forensic accounting or channel checking or public policy analysis, lie detection on conference calls, data mining, networking, all these things, you may do better by starting with imperfect knowledge and cut out on the signal to noise ratio that has degraded substantially over the years. Another well known investor, James Montier of GMO, wrote some time back, and I quote, the amount of information that assails us on a daily basis is truly staggering. Unfortunately, we tend to equate information with knowledge. Sadly, the two are often very different beasts. We also tend to labor under the misapprehension that more information is the same as better information. Experimental evidence suggests that often where information is concerned, less is more. Quotes closed. In fact, numerous studies have shown that increasing the amount of information we consume and analyze leads to increased overconfidence rather than increased accuracy. And overconfidence, as you already know, is such a big killer of investment returns. I believe rather than obsessing with the bewildering fusion of news and noise, you should concentrate on a few key elements in stock selection. That is, what are those 5 to 10 most important things you should know about any business you are about to invest in? As Klaman said, information follows the well known 80-20 rule, which means the first 80% of the available information is gathered in the first 20% of the time spent. So, if I were to list down just 8 questions that I believe would help me do an 80% analysis for business, here are those. Question number one: is the business simple to understand and run? You need to ask this because complex businesses often face complexities which are difficult for its managers to get over. And that's the reason you are looking for simple businesses and businesses that you understand. Question number two: has the company grown its sales and earnings per share consistently over the past 5-10 years? Now, consistency is the key here because consistency is more important than speed of growth. The third question you need to ask is, will the company be around and profitably better in 10 years? It suggests continuity in demand for the company's products and services, which is so important. The fourth question is, how has the company performed on the earnings retention test? This question checks if over time retained earnings have delivered shareholders at least rupees 1 of market value for every rupees 1 that the company has retained. The fifth question is, does the company have a sustainable competitive moat? So you need to check for pricing power, gross margins, its lead over competitors, the entry barriers for new players, and all such kind of things. The sixth question is, how good is the management given the hand it has been dealt? You check here for capital allocation, things like return on equity, corporate governance, performance against competition. Question number seventh: does the company require consistent capex and working capital expenditure to grow its business? Now, companies that have to spend continuously on such areas are like running on treadmills, which is not a good situation to have. So, you need to find out such companies and avoid them. The final and eighth question is, does the company generate more cash than it consumes? Now, cash generators have a high probability of surviving and prospering during bad economic situation, and that makes it a very important question. So these are the 8 most important questions that are part of what I call the less is more stock analysis checklist. And these questions are all I use while analyzing to pick stocks for myself. And they have served me really well for the past many years. I would leave you with this beautiful quote from the 2008 movie Kung Fu Panda, where the wise old tortoise master Oogway explains the illusion of control to its disciple Shifu, who is charged with training the unlikely Po, the giant panda, to become the next great Kung Fu dragon warrior. And the master says, my friend, the panda will never fulfill its destiny, nor you yours, until you let go of the illusion of control. Or remember what Bhagwan Krishna tells Arjun about how he has the right to perform his actions, but is not entitled to the fruits of the actions. And thus he must not let the fruit be the purpose of his action. Master Uge and Bhagwan Krishna reminds us that we cannot become so attached to an outcome that we imagine it in our minds. In stock investing, we often focus so much on trying too hard that either we never start working on the process of picking up great businesses because we see it as a huge task, Or we start believing that our hard work and knowledge gives us great control over the future of the stocks that we own. The reality is that no matter how hard we try to analyze the workings of a business, we may not be as important to the results as we would like to think we are. It is thus important to remember what Klarman wrote. Investors frequently benefit from making investment decisions with less than perfect knowledge and are well rewarded for bearing the risk of uncertainty. The time other investors spend delving into the last unanswered detail may cost them the chance to buy in at prices so low that they offer a margin of safety despite the incomplete information. Do you feel lighter hearing this? I definitely did when I read this for the first time. Anyways, that's it for today's long episode. I hope this has shed some light on the illusion of control in stock investing. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and share it with your friends and fellow investors. As always, keep learning, keep investing, and remember, you don't need to be a master of the universe to do well in the stock market. So go out there, analyze wisely, and make informed decisions without suffering from the illusion of control. Until next time, happy investing and happy living.